expressed in the following program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the official views of Real TV, its management, or affiliates. Content is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised.
To all of our local, our regional and our international viewers, thank you kindly for choosing us here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. My dear friends, a very warm welcome to another edition of the program Conversations with Zalisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower and answer those unanswered questions. I am Zalisa Budu Singh Rupani, humbly inviting you to sit back, relax, enjoy, get your pen, get your notebook, Real TV, so you could take notes and important numbers that will be helpful for you and your loved ones. Directing this morning and in Master Control, Nathaniel Reed. On behalf of the team, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a beautiful, blessed, productive and great day today. Happy Monday, my friends. It's the beginning of another work week. It's Monday, the 15th of June, 2026. Let me gently remind you, it is a day and time we will never have the opportunity to ever have again in life. So don't waste your time. Do something productive and constructive with your day and time, all right? And if you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to you. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary to you and yours. Reminding you tomorrow is not promised. So cherish every day and use your time in a wise way. Not with regret, but rather with saying, thank you and thank God, which is so important, all right? Let's quickly go to our quote for today, coming to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. And our quote says, "The journey to success is not a straight line, but a winding road with many detours. Embrace the journey and keep moving forward. Despite whatever storm or whatever challenge you may find yourself with, always know that you have to continue, you have to keep going, you have to let go and let God in many situations." I'm going to repeat this again. The journey to success is not a straight line, in every situation in your life, whether it's family, whether it's work, whether it's in your church, it's in your temple, it's not always a straight line, but a winding road with many detours and many storms come that you didn't anticipate. But it is important that you embrace the journey and you keep moving forward. Don't allow anyone to steal your joy. Don't allow anything to steal your peace. You stay focused and you keep going, all right? And that came to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. Let's please go to their ad.
Looking for something truly unique this season? Then you need to visit Fab India Expo, located opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas. Brand new containers have just arrived, packed with one-of-a-kind garments you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're shopping for something stylish, traditional, or custom-made, we've got you covered with made-to-order pieces tailored just for you. And it doesn't stop there. Take a stroll through our full food court, offering delicious options for the entire family. From savory bites to sweet treats, there's something for everyone. Plus, don't miss our big sale on furniture. Upgrade your home with beautiful pieces at unbeatable prices. So come on down to the Fab India Expo, located opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas, where culture, style and savings come together.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zalisa, right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. Today I'm in conversation with a true son of this soil, a shining star who's made us so very proud. I'm speaking of no other than Mr. Christopher Nathan. Now, Mr. Nathan is the founder and the CEO of Coco Velvet International. And today he's going to be talking to us about his journey, the journey of an icon and a pioneer in the model and fashion world. But the journey also with understanding sometimes when you get a no, you take it and make it into a yes and make the best of every opportunity, every moment that comes your way. Good morning to you, sir, and a warm welcome, Mr. Nathan.
Thank you. Good morning to Real TV. And thank you for having me with this interview, as it may be my last interview in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. So I want to tell my story. It has been an extraordinary life. In November, I was diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer that spread to my spine, resulting in 6 lesions, a fracture to one of my discs, and it also caused me to be paralyzed for 4 months due to spinal compression. So since then, it happened in Bequia while I was on holiday, and I was airlifted to Trinidad and spent some time at the Sangre Grande Hospital recuperating, and then Promise House Haven in Santa Cruz for rehabilitation. So I may just have a few more months of life left, maximum 2 years, and this is an opportunity for me to tell my life story, my extraordinary 64 years of life. In order to understand all that I have achieved in the fashion industry and the modeling industry, I want to go back to my birth, because I do believe that there are earth angels around us who were sent here by God for a purpose, and I've been able to transform the lives of thousands of youth, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but around the Caribbean. And I think that may have been my purpose for being here.
Yes.
So we start from the beginning.
Certainly.
June 1961. In that month, I was conceived on the bench at the Queen's Park Oval. And I'm saying this because we need to get some background to understand this extraordinary life that I've had for the 64 years.
All right.
My mother and my father were lovers, and they did not live together. But on that fateful day, my father visited my mother at home in Benares Street, St. James, and they went for a stroll. Ended up at the Queen's Park Oval, where they had sexual intercourse, and I was conceived. When my mother started to show, because she was living with my grandmother was so frustrated that she put her out. And my mother lived on that same bench at Queen's Park Oval for the 9 months of pregnancy in the cold. And my father would visit her every day and every night to take care of her. But it caused me to have pneumonia. Well, first bronchitis that developed into pneumonia when I was born at the Port of Spain General Hospital on February 28, 1962. So I was put in an incubator. My father decided to go to St. Croix to work, so he abandoned me. And then my mother thought that I was not going to survive the incubator. She left Trinidad and Tobago to go to Venezuela to work. So after a few weeks, the hospital called the St. Dominic's home in Belmont, and a nun called Sister Mary Perez came to the hospital to take me to the orphanage. At the orphanage, I spent, I think, 4 or 5 years being nursed by the nun there, back to health. And during that time, I was baptized Christopher Anthony after 2 saints. And my last name is Nathan.
Right.
So those abbreviations, of course, I realized later as C-A-N, Can. And all through my life, I've lived by that motto. I don't know the word can't. So anytime there's an obstacle or a challenge, I find a solution. So that was stage 1. So after spending 4 or 5 years in the orphanage, my grandmother discovered that she had a grandson at the orphanage, and she sent my aunt to take me out. So I lived with my grandmother from that time until I was 13 years old, when my mother returned and took me to live with her. But during that time, of course, I didn't know her, so it was difficult living with her. So eventually I ran away, and I went to live with an aunt in Diego Martin, her sister. And during that time, the next phase took place in 1984, BWI International decided to hire male flight attendants for the first time, and I applied, not having planned to be a flight attendant, but I got through. So I became one of the first male flight attendants in the Caribbean, and that was the beginning of my adventure internationally.
Right.
In 1997, well, in 1995, I was promoted to cabin crew officer PURSA, which is the senior flight attendant on flights. I was responsible for managing BWI flights internationally. And in 1997, another transformative year, the airline seconded me to Air Alpha Turkish Airlines in Istanbul to work there for a period of time under a wet lease contract.
Nice.
And during that time, I managed Air Alpha flights throughout the Mediterranean, North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East.
Yes.
And I immersed myself in the fashion industry. So I want to bounce back. In 1978, while I was still at school, I started a finishing school program run by Anne Blackshine Sharma on Henry Street, Port of Spain, which led to me doing a modeling course as well. So after I graduated from Anne McShine's finishing school, I joined Pinal Fashion's model agency in 1978 as well. And in that year, I was introduced to the fashion industry as I was working with, once I left school, I started working with Imprint Caribbean Limited, publishers of You, and they introduced the first fashion magazine in Trinidad and Tobago called You Magazine. And I was fascinated by the fashion industry during that time.
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to the fashion industry. So along with modeling, I had an interest in the fashion industry as well. So during my flying time with BWI, I immersed myself into the burgeoning fashion centers in New York, London, Paris, Milan, and visited the high-end stores, visited the ateliers and workshops of the designers. So I had a lot of experience during that flying career of the international fashion industry and what it took to develop a fashion center from scratch. So in 1997, once my contract was over with Air Alpha Turkish Airlines, I started Coco Velvet International Fashion and Model Management at 54 Gala Street in Woodbrook. I had some experience working as a model from 1978 because once I left Pinal Fashions, I joined House of Jackie in 1981. I was mentored by Jackie Kuhnau, and then I left Jackie Kuhnau's House of Jackie and went to Mannequins Image Management. Again, I was mentored by Richard Young, who promoted me to rehearsal director. So I had an opportunity to be in a management position at the agency and worked on his productions, all his productions with him. That's Richard Young. So in 1997, I resigned from Mannequins Image Management and started Coco Velvet International on October 1st, 1997. I say that all this is destined because it happened so fluidly and so easily for me. One of my principal model in 1997 when I started was Wendy Fitzwilliam. And a few months after joining the agency, she became Miss Trinidad and Tobago, went off to Hawaii and won the Miss Universe pageant.
Yeah.
So a lot of international exposure and a lot of international attention came to Coco Velvet International. Apart from that, our principal male model, his name is Paul Robert Price, was invited by Oprah Winfrey to represent Trinidad and Tobago at the Sexy Island Man contest, which he was hosting in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And of course, he won the contest, and his prizes included a layout in Vibe magazine, a go-see with Ralph Lauren Polo, and he appeared on Oprah Winfrey's show. So that also brought international exposure to Coco Velvet.
Yeah, you all
In
certainly.
1997,
We
when
just,
I
Mr.
started-
Nathan, we just need to take a very quick break. As soon as we come back from this break. Let's go to some important messages. When we return, we continue our conversation with Mr. Christopher Nathan, founder and CEO of the Cocoa Velvet International. And today he's sharing his story, his life with us, so we could have a greater understanding of where he started and where he's at today, but more importantly, grasping at every opportunity in life to enhance, to grow, to excel, and taste success. Sharing his story with us, continuing to share his story when we return. Let's go to these messages. Stay with us.
It's Bridging the Gap with NACA, hosting every Monday to Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. right here on Real TV, where we talk about the current issues and we get into the nitty-gritty of social issues. Stay tuned right here on Real TV.
Are you looking for the right space for your business? Fred's Plaza has the space you need. We offer professional rental spaces designed for growing businesses. Conveniently located in San Juan on the Eastern Main Road, opposite the PTSC terminal and between Royal Castle and Mario's. Easy access, high visibility. For inquiries, call or WhatsApp 868-384-7142 today, or visit Level 3 Fred's Plaza for details.
In a world full of noise, choose clarity. The Real News digital publication is your choice for important news coverage. From influential figures shaping our nation to a powerful week in review that keeps you informed. The weekly edition is available for download on all of our social media platforms. Smart, sharp, essential, Real News digital publication. Stay informed, stay educated, stay empowered.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zalisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you, to all of our local, regional and international viewers. Those of you on Tego, the app, and if you don't have Tego, the app, it's absolutely free. You could download it on any device and you could look at Real TV real time, anytime, all right? So remember to tell your friends and family, and you yourself download it. And to the 3.1 million viewers, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the ones that made it possible, and we are grateful, all right? Speaking of grateful, we're talking today with a true son of this soil, that is Mr. Christopher Nathan. He is the founder and CEO of Cocoa Velvet International. And today Mr. Nathan is sharing his life, his story with us, so that we could be inspired, we could be motivated, but more importantly, we appreciate, the son that he has emerged to be in this land, making us all extremely proud. Mr. Nathan, welcome back, sir.
Thank you. So we're now on chapter 2, the Cocoa Velvet years.
Yes, the Cocoa Velvet years.
Yes, so in 1997, when I decided to launch Cocoa Velvet International, this was a huge entrepreneurial step. Because I was still working with the airline as a cabin crew officer. So I was burning my candles on both ends. It was part of my destiny, I think.
Yeah, so, to manage all of the things that you're doing at this time, it took a level of discipline and time management to be able to accomplish all that you did within the time and still continue to grow and excel.
Indeed. So in 1997, when I started Cocoa Velvet International, a lady from Paris called Crystal Von Hook had come to Trinidad with her husband, and she had planned to open a model agency here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
And she found out that I was going to open Coco Velvet International. She reached out to me, and we decided to partner. So Crystal Von Hook brought international standard to Coco Velvet from her base in Paris, as well as connections. And that is probably why, from the beginning, Coco Velvet had international aspirations and standards as well. When we launched, we decided to have two separate divisions, a model management division, which was the first in Trinidad and Tobago, and the fashion management division. The aim of the model management division, which was quite grand, was to discover, develop, and export Trinidad and Tobago models to the fashion capitals, London, Paris, New York, and Milan, which we have accomplished. And the aim of the fashion management division was to establish Port of Spain as the international fashion center for the Caribbean. In that regard, we set about introducing several developmental initiatives that have transformed and transitioned our cottage fashion industry into a globally recognized, economically viable industrial sector. That included the establishment of the Fashion Association of Trinidad and Tobago in 1997, which I initiated with the help of fashion icons, mailing Claudia Pegas, Heather Jones, Peter Elias, Robert Young of the Cloth, Millhouse Clothing, and several other high-profile fashion professionals in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, some big names.
The Fashion Association of Trinidad and Tobago was instrumental in lobbying and advocating to the government through the Ministry of Trade and Industry for fashion to be designated an economic sector. And we will talk more about that in a little while. Apart from that, in 2006, I initiated a tertiary-level fashion program at the University of Trinidad and Tobago through a proposal that I had sent to the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Tertiary Education. The minister saw the value in the proposal, and he forwarded it to Professor Kenneth Julian, President and Chairman of the University of Trinidad and Tobago. Professor Julian contacted me and offered me a consultancy contract in April 2007 to set up the Caribbean Academy of Fashion and Design at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And CAFD at the time was the first tertiary-level fashion program in the West Indies, and that is one of my major accomplishments in life. Apart from that, the directors of the Fashion Association accompanied me to meetings with several ministers of planning and development, culture, and trade and industry, with a view to convincing the government that fashion had enough potential to become an economic sector. And after 5 years of lobbying and advocacy, the government, through Cabinet Minute, designated fashion in December 2011 as an economic sector for national development. And the Fashion Industry Development Committee was commissioned under the auspices of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and I was selected as a representative of the Caribbean Academy of Fashion and Design, and later on the Fashion Association of Trinidad and Tobago, to sit on the committee which was responsible for oversight on all developmental initiatives for the fashion industry, as well as the preparation of a strategic plan for the industry. In 2013, the Fashion Industry Development Committee was decommissioned to make way for Fashion TT, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Fashion Company Limited, which was under Creative TT. There were 3 subsidiaries for fashion, music, and film, which the government had identified for national development. So our fashion industry, I think, took off in 2000, and that's when I sent that proposal to the Minister of Trade and Industry, the late Kenneth, forgot his last name, who was the minister at Riverside Plaza. in that year, Pulse Investment in Jamaica contacted me through its chairman, Kingsley Cooper, the late Kingsley Cooper, to join a team of Caribbean professionals to launch Caribbean Fashion Week in Kingstown. And I was also given the responsibility for coordinating a fashion delegation from Trinidad and Tobago to represent our Twin Islands state at Caribbean Fashion Week. So I was assisted by Rosemary Stone in 2000 and 2001. And in June 2001, our delegation represented Trinidad and Tobago at Caribbean Fashion Week and created the most impact with the international fashion press, media and buyers, etc. And from then and every year following that, the Trinidad and Tobago designers were given the most publicity internationally and created the most impact. And I think that is the beginning of our fashion industry transitioning from its cottage base to an industrial sector. Apart from that, I was contacted by the National Training Agency and the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards to develop occupational and industrial standards for the fashion industry, which I worked on simultaneously in order for us to have particular standards for the development of the industry. In 2019, I decided to retire from fashion, and I went to live in Tobago for 6 years, the last 6 years. And during that time, I decided to explore sustainable fashion and the circular economy, because I felt strongly that our fashion industry at its genesis stage should embrace sustainability and circularity, because that is the direction of the global fashion industry. So I did several online courses with the University of Manchester, University of Geneva, and University of Copenhagen in sustainability and circularity in order to work internationally in sustainable fashion and the circular economy. And since then, I've been doing that internationally. So Coco Velvet has pivoted from regular fashion industry management to sustainability and circularity. And we work globally as consultants with fashion houses, fashion brands, and factories globally. So our next chapter will be the modeling industry.
Yeah, you know, you're explaining to us about how things just fell into place and doors just kept opening with regards to your growth and your accomplishments. You know, things just kept, you know, what did you face any challenges whatsoever during those periods? I mean, what was
Of course.
Because, you know, you explain it so beautifully, as, you know, of all the different chapters and all the different events and the opportunities that just kept coming your way, and you embraced it. And it was all part of the journey that brought you to this point. But what were the challenges, you would say, that, you know, that nobody knew that you were facing? I love the fact that you're so open, and, you know, in terms of even from the inception of your life to the challenge that as a baby you faced, and then going into a home and then going back into your grandmom's home. I mean, you're so open about that, and that transparency
I have to tell you,
you know.
Yes, I have to tell you, because my initials are CAN, I never viewed the challenges and obstacles and barriers as such. They were stepping stones.
Beautiful.
So, and I'll talk about a few of them.
And I love that.
I
love that you from earlier clock, you took control by understanding there's no can't in my vocabulary. There is can't and I will perhaps. And that's what you did. So we're just going to take a quick break. And as soon as we return, we continue our conversation with Mr. Christopher Nathan, founder and CEO of Cocoa Velvet International, sharing his story, his life with us. Yeah? Let's go to these important messages. Stay with us.
Macon Construction Company Limited. Save big whilst building stronger. We build with our Macon innovative building systems, which provides high wind speed, earthquake, sea blast and fire resistance. Is thermally and acoustically insulated. Provides improved construction timelines and cost savings. We provide construction services from design to finish and everything in between. Macon Construction Company Limited. Building green today with tomorrow's technology. Contact or visit us today.
Let's get straight to the point. I am Dale Edwards, Dale the Voice, and we're going to get straight to the point right here on Real TV. Join me Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. when we talk the hard truth. We're not beating around the bush. We're getting straight to the point, dealing with real issues, social, politics, and much more. Monday to Friday, the only place to be is right here on Real TV.
The Ambassador's Daughter, weekdays at 11 a.m., only on Real TV.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. To all of our local, regional and international viewers, thank you so much for choosing us, allowing us to be part of your moments, and of course ultimate in programming as we continue to inform, educate, empower and answer those unanswered questions. You know, this morning I am in conversation with a true son of the soil who is sharing his life experiences from birth to now. And I'm speaking of no other than Mr. Christopher Nathan. Now, Mr. Nathan is the founder and CEO of Cocoa Velvet International. And he's a household, he's a brand by himself. Certainly, worked extremely hard and achieved a lot in his journey. Welcome back, Mr. Nathan.
Thank you.
So,
and before we go to chapter 3, which is the modeling industry,
yeah,
I want to talk a little bit about the challenges
yes,
and barriers and obstacles
yes,
that I faced.
You know, it's important that people understand the struggles. They understand
yes,
the days when, it was dark. Those things that will pull you back, hold you back. But what I love about you, because I believe you are a success story. Despite every negative thing that happened in your life, what you took control of was your mind. And that nothing was going to hold you back. Nothing was going to steal your joy. Nothing was going to take away your peace. And you stayed focused because you took every I can't into I can and I will, and you did it.
And I think that started as a baby because I was a determined baby to survive when I was in that incubator.
Exactly.
And since then, I have always been determined to succeed. So let's talk about the BWI years initially. As a male flight attendant, remember we had never had male flight attendants in the airline before. I had a lot of challenges in the first few years from 1984 to about 1987. We were passengers particularly male passengers, macho male passengers, refused to take food from me on flights, particularly on flights that we go to Jamaica and we island hop on the way up to Jamaica. And some of them would take the tray of food and throw it in the aisle, refused to take the food from me. And there were times when the pilots, who were very macho as well, would tell the in-charge flight attendant that the steward has to work at the back of the plane and must not come into the cockpit. And even when I became a purser and I had to interact with pilots, there were challenges where the captain would tell me, I am in charge at the beginning when we were doing the crew briefings, because they were so intimidated and insecure about having a male flight attendant on their flight as well.
Yeah.
So there were many challenges during the BWI years which I faced and overcame. Apart from that, another big challenge came at UTT. UTT's opportunity came as soon as BWI closed. BWI closed in December 2006.
Right.
And remember in May 2006, I had sent that proposal to the Minister of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education.
Right.
He responded, and then Professor Julian at UTT responded later on, and I was invited to meetings with Professor Julian during that year, 2006, while I was still flying. I had no idea that the airline was going to be dissolved by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. But as soon as the airline closed, this opportunity came at UTT to become the fashion and design consultant to set up the Caribbean Academy of Fashion and Design.
Yeah.
However, it must be noted that I did not have even an undergraduate degree, because when I joined BWI, I was still a youth. I had left high school for my A-levels straight into BWI, and I worked at BWI for 23 consecutive years. And during that time, I had no intention of leaving BWI to go and study, because I was having a time and enjoying my career.
Yes.
So when BWI closed, I did not have my degree then. Later on, of course, I pursued a master's degree on innovation, manufacturing management,
Brilliant.
and entrepreneurship, and then my international professional diplomas. But in April 2007, I didn't have an undergraduate degree. As a result, there were many instances where I was disrespected and humiliated at University of Trinidad and Tobago because I was setting up a university program without even an undergraduate degree. So there were many challenges that I had to overcome, particularly with the Board of Governors and the Academic Council, when I had to present to them the curricular proposal, for example, and try to get procurement to set up the Academy's facility at the John S. Donaldson Technical Institute on Ryson Road.
Right.
Setting up that facility as well was very challenging because there was no elevator. We were on the third floor. I was working alone, so I had to carry the machines and the pattern drafting table and the drawing tables, etc., on my back up the 3 flights of stairs to set up the facility.
Yeah.
I must add, though, that I got a lot of help from a lady called Carol Mongo, who had set up Parsons in Paris, and the UTT engaged her as a fashion education consultant to work with me to prepare the curricular proposal, and she eventually took on a contract to manage the facility as the program director. And I was able to learn a lot from her about fashion education during the 4 years that she was here in Trinidad and Tobago. So I give her full credit for mentoring me and teaching me all that she learned.
Yeah.
At the end of her tenure in 2012, she made a recommendation to UTT that one of my colleagues should take over as program leader, and I would stay in my substantive position as program administrator of the Caribbean Academy of Fashion and Design. And there was another challenge there. The person who took over didn't want me around. She claims that because I didn't have a degree, I was not an academic, so she banned me from going into the classroom to interact with the students. She took away all my responsibilities as a program administrator and gave them to my admin assistant. So I was coming to work every day to open the facility and close the facility, and not contributing anymore to my baby. Now, you can imagine, as I birthed this fashion program, I wanted to be involved in decision making as the program evolved.
Of
and I
course.
was not allowed to do that. So it was very frustrating during that year. So eventually, I wouldn't name her, concocted a story that I was in a compromising position with a male student in my office, and sent that report to the vice president of HR at UTT, and they called me in and asked me to resign immediately. Of course, I didn't resign because it was not true. There was no evidence. And I told them to do an investigation. They did the investigation, discovered no evidence, and I was allowed to continue work. So she was not satisfied with that.
Yeah.
So she then sent us another report in that I was using companies' time and resources for Cocoa Velvet International business. The UTT HR did another investigation, exonerated me because there was no evidence. So eventually, she told them, that's the corporate office, that I was no longer needed, as I had been engaged to set up the Caribbean Academy of Fashion and Design. There was no need for a program administrator. So UTT made my position redundant and fired me. And that was in April 2012.
Right.
So during that time, of course, I was living the life. I had a BMW and a Jaguar. I was living in a 4-story house in Cascade. I was living the life.
Living the life.
Suddenly, yes, and then suddenly there was no income whatsoever. So I was more or less homeless for a few years. So after that, I went to Celebia in Toco and rented an apartment there and struggled for several years until 2019 when I went to Tobago to live. So there were many difficult years, many challenges.
When you say you struggled then, because you went from riches, living the high life with all the, what do we say? Exactly, to hitting rock bottom, to renting an apartment, in Sally Bay, and then that took you to Tobago. How did you manage when you hit rock bottom? And what was what was it that made you say, well, enough is enough in Trinidad, I'm going to go across to Tobago? What was it that,
So that's where the model management came in. So in 1997, remember I mentioned that there were 2 divisions at Cocoa Velvet.
Right.
The fashion management division and the model management division.
Right.
So when I started the model management division, every year we would host a fashion workshop for secondary school students who had an interest in pursuing careers in the fashion and modeling industry.
Right.
So we would go to the secondary schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago and recruit students for this workshop, which we hosted during the summer program.
Right.
And that is where I was able to transform the lives of thousands of young people, because we did that workshop over and over, which was supported by the government of Trinidad and Tobago through the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Culture, and the Office of the Prime Minister's Sport and Culture Fund.
Okay.
So the models that we spoke about came from those workshops. And out of the workshops, we would identify the 1 or 2 who we felt had international potential, and they would participate in our Top Model Trinidad and Tobago contest. We've had 5 of them. And the Top Model contest winners would be guaranteed contracts with Elite Latin and South America, ELSA, which was our international partner, headed by Mr. John Bilboa, the director.
Okay.
So our first winner in 1999 was Dominica Mora, who won, her prize was a go-see, basically, and a possible contract with Elite Model Management New York. And she joined Elite in 2000. So she was our first international success. And there was a joint winner in 1999 called Marsha Alexander, who represented Trinidad and Tobago at the Elite Model World Finals in Geneva, Switzerland.
Right.
And she was able to model for Oscar de la Renta in 2000 in Miami South Beach. I was fortunate, I have to bounce back again, in 1998 to be selected by the government of Trinidad and Tobago and Miss Universe Inc. to be the assistant choreographer for Miss Universe 1999,
Yeah.
which was held in Chaguaramas, Trinidad for the first time.
Okay.
And during that time, I assisted the choreographer, Scott Grossman, to train and prepare the delegates from all around the world for the Miss Universe finals. And he mentored me, and I learned a lot from him, Scott Grossman, about creative training of the delegates, etc., etc. So that also prepared me for the workshops when I started training the models for international work. In 2010, we had another big success where our winner, Crystal Noriega, represented Trinidad and Tobago at the Elite Model World Finals in Shanghai, China.
Yeah.
And I was invited to come to the contest and sat on the panel as a preliminary judge. In 1999,
Beautiful.
John Casablancas, who is the founder of Elite, invited me to the Elite Model Finals in the French Riviera between Monaco and Nice, France. And I was
Wow.
able to make a lot of contacts with the
Yeah.
international fashion world,
Well,
the top designers, top models, etc.
The beauty is you were already, you've traveled the world, so you have that international feel and flair and experience. So
Yes.
this was, nothing new to you with regards to,
No, icing on the cake, though.
international. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to a
But
quick break, and when we return, we continue our conversation. Stay with us. Let's go to these
Absolutely.
important messages. Stay with us.
I am Zalisa Budu Singh Rupani, inviting you to join me for the rebirth of Apne Sitare, Our Stars, a vibrant and spectacular show celebrating the incredible local talents of the sons and daughters of Trinidad and Tobago. Experience the beauty of our culture through singing, dancing, and musical performances as we keep the arts alive and shining bright. Tune in right here on Real TV every Sunday from 1 p.m. for Apne Sitare, Our Stars. See you there.
When security matters most, choose Catch Security Services Limited. We are proudly approved by the Ministry of Homeland Security. We protect your home, business, community, and much more. Our services include professional baton and armed officers, specialized K-9 units, mobile patrols, secure cash pickups, secure transport, and pepper spray applications and supply coming soon. Don't wait. Secure your assets now. Contact Catch Security today. Call 622-6601, email info@cssl-tt.com, or visit our office at 30-32 Saddle Road, Maraval.
In a world full of noise, choose clarity. The Real News digital publication is your choice for important news coverage. From influential figures shaping our nation to a powerful week in review that keeps you informed. The weekly edition is available for download on all of our social media platforms. Smart, sharp, essential. Real News digital publication. Stay informed, stay educated, stay empowered.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zalisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. Today I'm in conversation with a true son of the soil, Christopher Nathan, founder and CEO of Coco Velvet International. And today he's talking about his journey, as an icon and a pioneer in the industry. When I talk about the industry today, we're talking about the model and fashion world, certainly making a difference and made a difference. Welcome back, Mr. Nathan.
Thank you. So we're talking about the modeling industry now. So I want to give credit to Crystal Von Hook, who brought a lot of international standards and connections to Trinidad and Tobago when she partnered with me when I was starting Cocoa Velvet back in 1997.
Right.
So Crystal was able to make connections with John Casablancas, who was the founder of Elite Model Management. And that is how we were able to, I was able to get invited to Elite Model in Nice, France, and then send a representative from Trinidad and Tobago to the Elite Model finals in Geneva, Switzerland in 2000, in Shanghai, China in 2010. And in 2015, we had another huge winner. So we're talking about that now. So Crystal Noriega represented us in Shanghai, China, and she got signed to Elite Model Management New York shortly after. Select Model Management in London, and she was able to debut in New York for Marc Jacobs at New York Fashion Week, and in London for Tom Ford at London Fashion Week. Crystal went on to work with several prestigious designers, including Ugaro, Vivienne Westwood, Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, and several other high-profile designers.
Yeah.
In 2015, when we had the Top Model Trinidad and Tobago contest, Naomi Chinwing won, and her prize was another international management contract with Elsa, who was able to place her at IMG Model Management, which at the time, and still probably is, the world's top model agency. She got a global contract, which meant that she was represented by Elite's 5 offices in London, Paris, Milan, New York, and Sydney, Australia. And she has worked for over 360 of the world's top Fashion Week fashion shows for prestigious brands, again, like Yves Saint Laurent, Chanel, she worked for Calvin Klein, Carolina Herrera, Burberry, and a host of other designers. In fact, her debut was for Yves Saint Laurent under the Eiffel Tower at the Spring-Summer 2018 Fashion Week in Paris. Mm-hmm. And she has been in over 20 Vogue magazine layouts, fashion layouts, on the cover of several magazines. So she actually is Trinidad and Tobago's most successful international model, after Teresa Lorenzo, who was one of our 90s top model. So the time that I spent in Celebio, I was living off of royalties from the models' commissions from Elta. So you mentioned that, how did I survive?
Yeah.
Thank God I had Cocoa Velvet during that time from 2012 to 2019 in Celebia, when I basically lived off of the commissions of the models who were working internationally.
Okay.
Since then, we've had another winner. In 2024, I decided, well, when I went to Tobago in 2019, I went there with the intention of contributing to Tobago's economy with its diversification efforts to try to develop a fashion and textiles industry in Tobago. Mm-hmm. So I approached the Tobago House of Assembly, and we agreed to do the fashion workshop for youths coming out of the secondary schools in Tobago in 2024.
Nice. Excellent.
And I was able to arrange with the franchise director for Miss World Trinidad and Tobago, Charo Luchandas, for us to host a Miss Tobago beauty pageant. And the winner of that pageant, the Renessa Ortiz, represented Tobago at the Miss World Trinidad and Tobago pageant in 2024.
Nice.
And in 2025, we had another representative from Tobago, Shanique Marcelin, who represented Tobago at the Miss World Trinidad and Tobago pageant, and she was first runner-up. So I contributed as well in Tobago through youth development over the period that I was there from 2019 to 2025, which is when I had my cancer diagnosis. I had left Tobago in October of 2025,
yeah,
and I was going to live in the Grenadines So I went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to see which island I liked, because my plan was to relocate there.
Right.
And I decided to stay in Bequia. And while there, I experienced excruciating back pain. And when I went to the hospital there to find out what was going on, I was diagnosed at the time with stage 4 prostate cancer, which at the time had already metastasized and gone to my spine. And I became paralyzed while I was there in Bequia. So I was airlifted to Trinidad and went straight to the Sangre Grande Hospital for several months, bedridden. And from there, I went to Promise House Haven, which is run by Dr. Jacqueline Sabga, who is another earth angel, I believe. Because once I arrived from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can understand my frustration and my despair, because I had 6 lesions on my spine. I had a fracture to my spine. I was paralyzed as a result of spinal compression, and I had no control over my bowels or my bladder. So I was basically bedridden. So I wanted to go to a hospice to die. And when we approached, on my behalf, Wendy Fitzwilliam, who is a good friend of mine for all these years, approached Dr. Sabga at the hospice at Promise House. She decided that instead of putting me in the hospice, she would put me in the Haven, which is a rehabilitation care center. And during that time, I experienced 3 miracles. The first miracle is one morning I awoke and the catheter that was in my bladder was removed by an angel, and it was left on the side of my side on the bed. And I had a witness, because the nurse there at Promise House came to visit me, and she saw the catheter out without any blood, without any pain during the night.
Right.
The second miracle is that during the 6 months that I came from St. Vincent, not one day that I experienced pain during the time at the hospital or at Promise House, and I was experiencing excruciating pain in St. Vincent from my spine. So that's the second miracle. And the third miracle, Father King from the Holy Cross RC Church, which was next door to Promise House, visited me one morning at Promise House out of the blue. He anointed me, he asked for my confession, and he prayed with me. And as soon as he left the Promise House, I had a strong urge to get out of my wheelchair. And I stood up for the first time for 6 months and walked after that. I had control over my bowels, control over my bladder, and I have been walking since then. So I experienced those 3 miracles at Promise House Haven, and I believe that God wanted me to have another chapter, and that this other chapter that I'm experiencing now, having recovered from paralysis and walking again.
Beautiful. This is so inspiring, and it's so, I say it every day, with God all things are possible if you let go and let God and have that faith and trust. And not be, if you give something to God, you let it go, you let it be, you don't question. And miracles can happen, and they are real. And, it's really been our blessing to have had this conversation with you this morning, to listen to you as you share your story. What would be your closing remarks today?
Well, I hope that my story inspires lots and lots and lots of Trinidadians and Tobagonians and people all around the world, in fact. Too, I believe that men, especially once they reach 40, have a tendency not to do the PSA check and the rectal examination, because it's so, they don't want to do it. But since I believe that my prostate gland has been infected for over 22 years during all the work that I've been doing in the fashion industry, and I did not know. Because when I checked the PSA in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it was 1,000, and the PSA is supposed to be between 0 and 4.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how it would fight. So I hope that my story motivates men all around Trinidad and Tobago and around the world to do their PSA check, to check for prostate cancer, because it's an insidious disease. And you may have it for many, many years, and you don't know during the time that it's stage 1, stage 2. But by the time you discover that you have prostate cancer, it probably has metastasized and gone to either your brain, your liver, your lungs, or your spine. So my story is intended to motivate men who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s to have that PSA check.
Yes.
Prostate cancer is a killer, a deadly, deadly, deadly disease.
And prevention is better than cure. Take
Absolutely.
note. Mr. Nathan, I want to wish you God's choicest blessings. You know, may your story, your life, your experiences enrich ours as we take pages out of your book and apply it to our life. I love the fact that you still love God, and you know and you understand that you've been blessed in so many ways, and you have that level of gratitude when you listen. When I listen to you speak, you inspire me because you're so brave and authoritative with it. You understand what life is. You give gratitude. You cherish the opportunities and the doors that open for you. And you still sound so pleasing and so happy and understanding that with God all things are possible. Yeah? So I
Absolutely.
So I continued. I trust and hope I will have the opportunity to meet you in person one day. And you know, as you understand the value of time and life, may God continue to bless you. And may that bright light shine in your path, and may you continue to be an inspiration. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you. This is where we're going to wrap things up for today, reminding you the importance and value of life, of time. Don't take it for granted, because tomorrow is not promised. You know, you set out every day asking God to continue to bless you and to guide you and to help you be the best that you could be, all right? Not allowing anything or anyone to steal your joy. Any situation that come your way that you didn't anticipate, let it be, let it go, and let God, all right? Keep smiling, be positive, and always know the best is yet to come. And thanks so much for choosing us. Great programming continues right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. I am Zalisa Budhu Singh Rupani. Thanks so much for choosing us. See you tomorrow.